Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters. This is a show where we talk about all things marriage, relationship.
Yes.
I like to say we give you tips and tricks.
Oh my gosh.
She doesn't like the tricks part, but I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with tricks. Not the tricks that I'm talking about.
Okay.
So, for those of you who are watching for the very first time, my name is Glenn Coleman, and this is my beautiful wife.
Tanya Coleman. I thought you had more to say.
Oh, you want? I can do more. This is my beautiful, lovely, sexy, all those things. I guess I lost it. I'm gonna get a thesaurus. Okay. Anyway, as you guys can see, we're excited today because we have some very special guests on the show with us. We have our good friends Charles and Jan Thomas. Let's clap it up for them. Clap it up. Clap it up for Charles and Jan. So. We like to just bring other couples on because I know you guys may get tired of hearing from us. But no, we just like to hear other people's story. I think that part of being successful in marriage is to surround yourself with other people who are successful and who are going in the same direction that you are going and want to go. So Charles and Jan are that for us. So how you guys doing?
Man, we're honored to be here.
Cool.
Yeah, great to be here. Of course, he just mentioned my name is Charles, and this is my beautiful, sexy, lovely, adorable wife.
Oh, he beat me. He's got more words.
It's Jan Thomas.
Hey, nice to be here.
All right. Yeah. So actually, I guess I've been knowing Charles for, I guess about 20 years now.
Yeah, at least.
It's been about 20 years.
At least.
So this is my pastor's brother. I don't know. So those of you who know Pastor Norman, this is his brother. You probably can tell that. But we've been, and actually I was thinking the other day, I remember your wedding. It's easy to remember. I'll never forget your anniversary because it's the 4th of July.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
And I remember going to the wedding. So
That's why I picked it.
I was gonna say that's probably why you did that, huh?
So you never forget?
Never forget.
Awesome.
And it's his parents' anniversary.
That's
Okay, I didn't know
right.
that. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Awesome.
Okay. So before we get started, I just wanted to just make one recommendation. Again, we like to give you tools. And so I just finished reading this book. It's by Danny Silk, and it's called Keep Your Love On. Keep Your Love On. Really great book, and it's talking about just connection, communication, and boundaries. And those are 3 things I think that every marriage needs, every relationship needs. And even outside of the marital relationship, I think a lot of what he talks about you can apply to any relationship. Connection, communication, and boundaries. So again, that's Keep Your Love On by Danny Silk. So let's get into today's topic, and we just wanted to just have a talk with the Thomases. First of all, how long have you guys been married now?
20 years.
It's 20. It's 20.
Wow.
So actually, I've been knowing you longer than 20 years. Then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I knew
been
you
at least 20, but we've been knowing each other probably 25, 30 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys met like in high school?
Yes.
Or? Wow.
We actually met at so she saw me at a church where where Norman was playing as a music of ministry.
Okay.
And then I saw her at a county fair in Oberlin.
Actually, I remember the open fair. I used to go to that fair. Yeah.
So I had a friend. My best friend was with me when we met, and I saw her over there talking to a crowd of girls. And I turned to him and said, "Man, I'm gonna have to get her number. That's gonna be my wife."
Wow.
Yeah. And he's like, "Dude, look at her. Look at you."
Oh
He said it's not gonna happen. But I waited for all the girls to kind of disappear. It was down to maybe her and maybe 2 other girls, and I approached, exchanged numbers, and rest is history.
Sure enough.
That's amazing.
And then he went to Saudi Arabia for Desert Storm.
I remember
And
that.
so we kind of detoured for a bit because when he left and came back, I was off to college, and we just kind of, went our separate ways for a little bit. But when we were going our separate ways, he always kept in touch with my mother.
Wow.
Always.
Smart man.
kept in
Yeah,
touch
that was very smart.
And what's funny is my mom always told me, I know I can't pick for you, but if I could, he would be the one.
Oh, wow.
True story. True story.
That's it. If you want mama, that's it.
Yeah.
He did. I think she liked him more than she liked me for a minute. I was like, what is going on here?
Who's the teacher?
No matter if you come, just bring Charles.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's
but,
funny.
You know, God really blessed me with a special lady.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You know, so,
So 20 years of marriage. Probably before that, another, I don't know, you said about 10 years of knowing each other. And
Yeah, that's about right.
yeah.
so tell us, you know, after the marriage, just kind of tell us about your family. You know, I know you have two. You know, Charles and I have a lot in common. It's
That's
spooky
right.
how much we have in common. So I have two girls, so you also have two girls. So kind of just tell us about the family and.
Yeah, so we have two daughters. Our oldest daughter is named Mariah. Our youngest daughter is named Charlie. We were hoping for a son, and once we found out our youngest was a girl, she decided to at least give her my initials. CRT, because we couldn't call her Charles II.
Right.
Yeah, but Mariah rather is up in New Hampshire right now going to college, you know, over 1,000 miles away.
Wow.
Playing basketball there. And Charlie is still with us. She's in the 9th grade. And
Awesome.
just some beautiful, wonderful girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super smart, expressive, sometimes a little too expressive.
Right.
Great personality. And, you know, those are the type of young ladies that'll go out and change the world.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
We try not to tame that out of them. You know what I
Sure,
mean? You got to,
yeah.
of course, help them with filters and that, but you want them to be smart and, you know, you want them to be able to speak up for themselves and,
Yeah.
and know what they want, be decisive.
That's awesome.
Wonderful.
That's awesome.
All right, so you know, again, this is a marriage show. So you know, one of the things we want to talk about, I'll just ask you, you know, when you think about marriage, what does that mean when you say I'm married? You know, what does that mean? Does you know?
Man,
does
that's
that,
a good
That's
question.
a very good question.
That's a good
and I can't take credit for it. She,
He
I'm
let me
reading-
come up with some
I'm reading her questions.
Yeah. So when I think about marriage, I think about two people coming together, two individuals coming together to form a union where they have, you know, something very, very good. Now, we first started this, you were talking about this book that you read. There were 3 points in that book.
Yeah.
What were they?
Connection, communication, and boundaries.
Yes.
So, look,
Look at this.
drew this little diagram, I don't know, 6-7 months ago. And for me, this
If you send me that, I'll
Okay.
put up. I can put up a graphic.
for me this represents marriage.
That's awesome.
Okay.
So you've got two complete individuals
Correct.
coming together to form a union here, and you've got this boundary of love around them. So this
yeah.
is the umbrella of God kind of covering your union.
Yeah.
And you see where these circles overlap. That's where you basically that's where your marriage, I guess, things in common exist. But then there are some things outside of this that, you know, represents me that maybe not represents the interest of Jan. Like, I like technology, she doesn't like it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to lose that when we
That's great.
come together as a union, you know.
Yeah.
But then these things inside of here, our kids, our love, our devotion, our concern for each other, all that stuff is represented in those the way those overlap.
That's
beautiful.
really
I love
good,
it.
man. You know,
Yeah.
we did, and I want you to answer the same question, Jan. But when you said that we did a show, it's called The Two.
Yeah.
And I think so many times in marriage, we forget that it's two people.
Right.
And when we talk about two becoming one, we think that I have to lose everything that I like, and she has to lose
Right.
everything that she
That's
likes,
right.
and we have to come together. But it's not. That's not what marriage is.
Right.
Marriage is how do you take two individuals and bring them together.
That's right.
And we do this example in our one of the class we teach called Married for Life, and we give the couples each Play-Doh, and it's two different colors of Play-Doh, and we have them put them together and just kind of mash them up, and it creates this new color, but each individual color is still you still can
That's right.
see each.
That's right.
Yeah.
So and we talk,
Yeah.
that's what marriage is. It's not about you don't have to lose
All of yourself.
who
all
you
of
are, and that's I think a lot of people are fearful, especially when it comes to women, of losing that. Because for women, I think you guys probably you have more, like you come in, you're a wife, and then you're a mother, and I'm a father too, but as usually you guys are more involved with the caretaking and most of the times if someone has to leave a career to raise kids, it's going to be, and so I think a lot of times a lot of women are fearful going into marriage, and that's one thing that I always told Tanya, I want her to to be everything that God created. And matter of fact, I feel that it's my job to make sure that everything that God has put inside of her is brought out. So,
that's right.
So that's really good. So I guess that's the logo for your the marriage.
You know what? I guess that's very good.
Yes, awesome. Yeah.
So
Very good.
So Jan, for you, same question.
Well, for me, I think a lot of young ladies, well, even as little girls playing with Barbie dolls, like, there's Barbie and Ken. And so a lot of girls, dream of using Disney and all their knight in shining armor and somebody to come rescue you. And I do know some people that, they were living for the wedding and not necessarily preparing for the marriage. Yes. And so I do know some couples who, unfortunately, the marriage was over before they were done paying for the wedding.
Wow.
So it's as beautiful as weddings are, as when that's done and everybody's full and go home and clean up, that's when the real work begins.
That's it.
Yeah.
And so when you see those two individuals up there taking those vows, there are two people who are bringing a whole set of life experiences and beliefs and family traditions, and it's so much to take into consideration. And I saw this funny meme on Facebook, and it said, if you were looking to change your spouse, the only way you can do that is if he's wearing a diaper. So like that's one misconception I feel like you can't bring into the marriage, thinking that you're going to change them, or that you can't change an individual. So it's a, like I said, when you're coming together, it's a lot of things that you have to work through. But there's a lot of joy on the other side of the working through it. And if you're open to it, you can learn a lot more about each other when you're butting heads. You learn so much. And then it's also important, I think, when you're married, to talk about how each of you grew up.
Yes.
Family
of origin.
Absolutely, because sometimes we can revert back to the little boy and the little girl, and so it kind of helps to understand where each other are coming from.
One of the things that we realized is that all of the experiences that we had as in our youth, we brought that with us, to our marriage, and it affects or it impacts how we treat each other. One of the things that we decided to do was, it hadn't been easy the whole way, right? We've been married 21 years, and it just so it's not like all roses and vanilla flavor.
I love vanilla flavor.
and so we kind of hit a valley in our marriage, or a low point, and I saw myself reacting to her the way I saw my dad react to my mom, right?
Yeah.
So I come in the house and I'm mad, I'm upset, I'm slinging the rice pot off the table, it hits the wall, puts a hole in the wall, and I storm out because now I got to go, because that's what I saw. And there's some name calling back and forth, and once a lot of those words hit the air, you can't take that back, no matter how many times you say I'm sorry. And what we decided to do was we sat down and we said, you know what, when we get upset with each other, we're going to set some rules on how we're going to argue. And there's going to be some things that we are not going to say to each other. And we established those rules, and we've lived by them for the last 18, 19 years.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely.
That's amazing, because it takes people a long time to get there, if ever, you know, to understand
That's
that
right.
we call them fair fighting rules.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know,
That's
that we should have those boundaries of what is proper to say, even when we disagree, you know, and what is not proper to say. Because
Yeah.
like you said, those words, you can't take them back. The damage has been done.
That's
So
great.
now you have to heal.
That's great.
you
And
know.
it's in the heated moment, the most heated moments when she needs to know that I love her.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I need to know that she loves me.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know, and if all I see is anger, 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 and all she sees is anger, anger, hate, and anger, you know, it just introduces a lot of doubt,
Yeah.
right?
That's
right.
Yeah.
That's
I like that the term you used that was really good. You said we decided this is how we're going to
That's
argue.
Right.
And I two things there. Number one, in our marriage, I don't say I hate, but I don't like confrontation. I'm the type of person where instead of, I would just say, you know what, I'm not even gonna say nothing about it. I'm just gonna ignore it. I'm gonna sweep it under the rug because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so for the early part of our marriage, you know, we always say, you know, we tell people, you know, we never argue. And we would say we disagree, but we don't argue. But at the same time, I can't say it's not that we wanted to, but I felt like we were not addressing the issues.
Yeah.
And then what I found was resentment would start to set in. You know, and again, I really wouldn't make it verbal, but you know, I always talk about my passive aggressiveness. So it'd be sometimes I just wouldn't talk to her. You know, and she'd be like, "What's wrong?" Nothing.
Nothing.
You know, and she'd be like, "Obviously something wrong. I'm good." You know, but so I guess there's that spectrum.
Yeah.
There's that end of the spectrum where you're just like, I'm just not going to do it. But then there's the other end of the spectrum where the rice pot is going into the wall.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Yeah.
there is a place, and we try to get couples to understand that. Look, like I think you said it, Jan. After the wedding, I mean, we do all the premarital counseling. We do all of that, and the planning, and
Yes.
but the next day after the wedding, when you wake up in that bed and you roll over, and there's this woman laying next to you, you're like, holy crap, I'm married.
You're here.
This is when the real work
That's
begins.
where the work
Yeah,
starts.
right, yeah.
And a lot of times, we don't. It's I always use this example. You know, Mike Tyson said this. He said everybody got a plan until they get hit.
Yeah.
He's talking about
Yes.
boxing. It's like you go in the ring and you practice. He's like, but when somebody hits you in the mouth,
Right.
you know, it's like all
that's
that
all.
goes out
Yes.
the window.
Yes.
And I think we
You're
don't.
shaking.
I think we don't prepare couples enough for the hits because
Right.
the
Yeah.
hits are gonna come.
Yeah.
There's gonna. I said, I always tell couples, believe it or not, you're gonna wake up one morning and you're just not gonna like each other.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna happen. She's gonna do something. He's gonna do something. He's gonna say something, or something's gonna happen, and you're not gonna see eye to eye. But a lot of times, I think couples they don't know how to work through the lulls, the downtime. And I think what you said, this is how we're going to argue.
Yes.
Go in ahead of time and because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But this is how we're going to argue. I'm going to align, and you know, and again for me, I've really worked on that over the last few years of how to express what I feel because you know. I wasn't taught how to do that, you know, as a man. And I always say this, and especially as a black man, you take feelings and you push them way deep down,
That's
and you
right.
do not.
That's right.
I'm a man. What you mean
Right.
you hurt my feelings?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But
I ain't standing by you.
yeah. But it's to learn how we're gonna tell each
Right,
other
that's right.
when our feelings are hurt, and sometimes it's that. And I say this, I tell Tanya this all the time. It's hard to hit a target that you don't even know. So it's like if I don't know that I hurt your feelings,
Yeah.
Right.
then how do I know not to do that again or not to say that again?
That's right.
You know
That's
what I'm
where
saying?
that's where that vulnerability comes
That's
in,
great.
Right.
and it's
Yeah.
important that we're vulnerable with our spouses and letting them know, hey, when you said this, this is how that made me feel. When
Yeah.
you did this, this is how that made me feel.
Right.
We need to work on this, and having those conversations. And sometimes it's difficult for couples to have those conversations, you know, with one another. I don't know, it's like a fear of if we talk about it, it's going to get worse, or,
Right.
you know, it's
Right.
going to cause
Right.
something else to happen, but we
Right.
have to talk
And
about
it's
it.
just the opposite. I
Right.
found that when you talk about it, then we could do something about
Right.
it.
Correct.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right. You know, I mean, so when you're in a corporate setting and things aren't going according to plan, what do? You
call a
come
meeting?
together
Yeah.
Right.
and you talk about
That's
it.
right.
right.
You know, and we've got to be able to see our relationships the same way. You know, we can't value that more than
Correct.
we value what we have at home.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that when we're in those challenging times, it's much like being in the gym. You know, it's an opportunity, like you said earlier, it's an opportunity for growth, right?
That's right.
So
That's right.
when you've got that resistance and you've got those challenging moments, it's an opportunity to come together, you sit around the couch. Another thing that we used to do is when she was upset with me, I would say, Jan, baby, what's wrong? No.
So I guess you and I on this.
And she would tell me there's just 1,000 things going on, you
Sure.
know, and okay, just reach out, grab one,
That's
and
good.
talk to me
Yes.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
I would sit on the coffee table across from her. She's on the sofa. I would hold her hand, and she would be mad with me, and I may be upset with her, but I'm holding her hand because I'm touching her
Yes.
to let her know how much I love her.
Yes.
I'm trying to show compassion and an effort to kind of bring resolution to
Yeah.
what we're dealing with.
That's
Because
good.
there's a difference in saying, you know, what's wrong with you. You know,
Right.
making it seem like, you know, you're abnormal in some
Right.
kind of way.
Right.
Oh,
Versus,
yeah, that is good.
you know,
Yeah.
what's really going on.
Right.
That's
And
good,
yeah,
yeah.
there is a
Yeah.
way to say it, or, you know, if you're just in passing, like you're busy, I'm putting up stuff.
Right.
What's wrong with you? Like, I asked to say I asked, but I really don't care.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Uh-huh.
one, you know, that's
Yeah.
the bad
Yeah.
way to say it.
Yeah.
You know, the good way is to really make the connection and
Right.
really let them know I do care about what's going on inside your brain, and
Yeah.
grab one
Right.
of those and let me, you know,
Yeah.
let's talk
Let's
about
talk
I
it.
like
about
that,
it. Yeah.
and I like that how you said that. Okay, just pick one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pick one thing because you can. It's so much
Yeah.
going, and
Right.
I've heard. I don't know who it was. They were saying there was another lady. She was saying that her mind sometimes she says it's like CNN with that ticker.
Yeah.
You know, and she's like, you know, there's this main thing here, but in the back of her mind, it's like it's all, you know, pick up the
Yeah.
kids, get the laundry done, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she was like, it's hard to process. So I
Right.
like, let's just pick one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just pick one thing. Let's
Right.
talk about it. And how can I,
Yes.
as your husband, help you
Right.
to
That's right.
work through that one thing?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's innately how women, how we're built.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Glenn always draws his box for couples. He draws a box and he puts a dot. He draws another box and there's a lot of dots and switches and lights and all sorts of things. So the man is the one dot, the woman has
Yeah.
like all the things.
Yeah.
Yes,
But they're
ma'am.
all connected. Like
That's right.
for some reason, like you said, you have the main event. I'm putting up groceries, but
Yes.
I'm thinking about all of these different things and what you
Yes.
said, and
Yes.
you didn't do this when I asked you to, and the kids that have this going on,
Yes.
and it's always going on.
That's
Yeah.
right.
You know, and so
That's
you
right.
can be distracted and not be in the moment.
That's
those
correct.
like you
Oh,
talked
man.
about
That's
that
correct.
connection
Yes.
point. You know, those we miss those because
Yes.
it's always something
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
You
And,
know?
and that's okay. And I say this, you know, even when I make the drawing about women, and I don't do that to make fun. I'm just saying that's just the way a lot of most women. That's the way they process.
So
it's
many
like
tracks.
men is like, and that's what like this thing is like it's like this computer, right? And men is like on off,
Right.
you know, and the women is just like, you know, all these knobs and buttons and
Charles used to say, he was like, Jane, you're the only person I know that can watch TV, read a book, talk on the phone, and tell me what's going on with all three of them. That's really accurate, right?
But the thing is, that's the thing. That's it. It's nothing wrong with that, and
Right,
we're not.
right.
And I think that's one area, like you were saying, it's nothing wrong. It's just
Right.
learning how people process
That's
information.
That's right.
That's
And
right.
like for me, Tanya is like, okay, she'll be talking about, okay, Bailey needs. We got to pay this by this date, and Bethany needs the tennis shoes. I said, hey, can you write that down for me?
Right.
And
right.
put
Right.
when it's due
Right.
and a dollar amount and
Yes.
give that to me.
Right.
You know, just don't be spouting out. And she'll Like she'll be washing dishes, you know. Hey, babe, Bethany, and then I'm like, whoa.
And then when you get in from work the next day, it's like, did you do this?
Yeah.
No, didn't I tell
What are
you?
you talking about? So yeah. So
We're
yeah.
always on.
Yes,
Always.
ma'am. Another thing I think that helps in marriage too is having realistic expectations of each other.
So good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you're born into the world as two complete individuals. And I think a lot of people have the misconception that if they get married, it's going to fill whatever void,
Sure.
if your dad wasn't there or your mom wasn't there. Well, getting married, is going to fix that and fill
Right.
that. And it's unfair to your spouse
Yes.
to expect him to fix something.
That
Yeah, nothing to
somebody
do with
else
it.
broke.
It was-
Right.
Yes,
Right.
that somebody else broke.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I also think it's important, and that can spill over into other things. For example, like something that seems really small, like, for example, like if I wanted him
Be
to
telling
come.
them trade secrets.
I love the motion. Like I was about to reveal
No. But if I
Watch
wanted,
it.
Like, oh, what's she about to say? What's she about to
This is
say?
our first time.
No, man, look, we like it really raw.
Yes.
Let it out.
if
Let
I
it out.
wanted him to
Make
come-
it juicy.
if I wanted him to come straight home from work, but he had plans with his friends, nothing wrong with that. But if I
Right.
didn't communicate that to
Sure.
him, so then I'm sitting home stewing, going, well, now he's only be gone like an hour and a half, right?
Right.
But I'm sitting home stewing, going, well, he didn't want to spend time with me. That's a childhood need
Right.
that I'm trying to put onto
Right.
him.
Wow.
And that's not fair if
Right.
for him to come through the door and I'm all
Right.
rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
And
Because
he's
I
just like,
expected you to be here.
because I expected you to be here. And, that's
that's-
unrealistic. That's
And that was a
unrealistic.
real example.
That was a real
of our
example.
marriage that she used. And so when she revealed that to me, my job is to listen and to understand. Now I may not be able to fill that void,
Sure.
Right.
but I'm going to do my best to make sure that she knows I'm not coming home because I don't want to be with you.
Sure. Right.
It's just plans that we
That's
made
correct.
Yeah.
That's
weeks
correct.
ago.
Yeah.
It's
you know?
what meaning that was assigned to it
Right.
that could have turned into a whole other,
Right.
like go to 100 when it really was a 1. That
Yeah.
could have,
Yeah.
if you just communicated about it ahead of time,
Right.
it was a non-factor. You just
Right.
have to communicate about it. But the underlying point for that is that the two individuals in marriage have to do individual work.
That's right.
And to, make peace with and or heal those parts of yourself that are broken from childhood
That's absolutely right.
before you bring those broken pieces into marriage and start blaming each other when they didn't break it.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
You know what
that's
I
so
mean?
good.
And let me just add that, yeah, you've got to do that individual work. And when you get married and you bring this baggage and your spouse brings this baggage, you've married that too. And so it's your responsibility as a spouse to take care of that,
Yeah.
to pay close attention to that, because you don't want your spouse to remain broken throughout your entire marriage, saying,
Yeah.
oh, well, you brought that. Oh, well, that was caused by your dad.
Yeah,
That ain't got nothing to
yeah.
do with me. No, it's your responsibility to try and help to mend
It belongs to
Do
you
that
as well
process.
That's
now
correct.
because yeah,
That's
Right.
yeah.
One of the things that we learned from Jimmy Evans, we attended one of their conferences. He said that God will bring a couple together, bring a man and a woman together, and in the process of coming together and becoming one, then He uses the marriage to heal you
Yeah.
from a lot of your past
That's
and a
right.
lot of your
That's
hurt,
correct.
and a lot of your pain. And I think it's
That's
so
correct.
beautiful, but the couple has to be in it
That's
for
correct.
that process.
That's
You guys
correct.
just described that very beautifully. I mean, you have some need there, and you have to reveal that to your spouse, and then as the spouse, it's your responsibility to sit and make those connections and
That's
help
right.
them through
Right.
that process.
That's right.
That's
So
right.
I mean, I love that idea. Like the transparency is always like
That's
to use
right.
the old school
That's
transparencies.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
you have
That's
to.
right.
The
Yeah.
teacher has the questions on one, and then the answers are on another, and it's not until she puts them both together
Right.
that you get the complete sentence.
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
with marriage, God does that for us.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we're gonna stop right there, but we're gonna come back. Can we do another show?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're gonna come back and we're gonna do another show with the Thomases. So before we close, though, is there anything that you guys have working on? Any projects? Anything that's coming up that you want to share with the people?
So yeah, we're about to launch our ministry called I Bridging the Gap.
Okay.
I stands for International
Okay.
Bridging the Gap Teaching Ministry. We're also working on developing our own talk show.
All right.
And when we get that developed and we're ready to launch it and we're ready to invite a guest, guess who's going to be our first
Hey,
guest?
we ready.
We're up for it.
Yeah. Awesome. And so you guys, Charles and Jan, you guys are in the Cypress, Texas, Houston area.
Right.
As you please share that information with us, because we want to let the people know, especially the people, we have people in that Houston area, and also if people want to follow you on social media, how can they reach out to you? How can they contact you? You guys want to give them that information?
Yeah, you can reach us at ibridgingthegap.com is our website.
Okay.
iBridging the Gap Teaching Ministry is our Instagram site, and yeah, that's about it. We don't want to give out no personal stuff.
No.
People be all in the DMs.
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Marriage Matters. As always, we want to thank you guys for supporting the show. You guys always overwhelm us with your love and support. Remember, you can always follow us at Marriage Matters 0526 on Instagram, at Marriage Matters 0526 on Facebook. Always remember, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel Marriage Matters, and when you do subscribe, make sure you click the subscription. Click the bell next to the subscription button so you can get notified every time we share a video. Also, if you have any show topics or any questions, anything that you'd like us to address, you can email us at info@marriagematterstous.com, Marriage Matters to Us, or you can send us a text message at 337-415-9535. 337-415-9535. So that's all we have for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. So this is Glenn Coleman and Tanya Coleman, along with Charles and Jan Thomas, saying your marriage matters. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.